Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Bond, Director of New Student and Family Programs. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Q&A, Everything You Need to Know Before Move-In Day from Housing and Dining. Joining me tonight are staff members from Housing and Residential Education and Denver Dining by Sodexo, and Beth Goad, Assistant Director of Family Programs. You've been receiving emails from our office inviting you to our webinar series over the summer to help you learn about resources at DU for you and for your students. And we're recording each of the webinars and placing them on our website, along with other helpful videos from our campus partners. A link to our website is in the chat now, and I'll just read that aloud. It's crimsonconnect.du.edu/NSFP. We'll also send our recordings to you by email once the editing is completed after each of our events, so you don't have to go looking for them. If you haven't been receiving our emails, though, please let us know by sending us an email at parents@du.edu. That's also in the chat. We'll make sure that you get added to our mailing list from now on. When you have questions for us, please use the Q&A button on your screen. You can add questions there anytime during the presentation. All the participants are muted during this conversation, so our panelists or Beth or I will read the questions that apply to tonight's subject of housing and dining, and then the panelists will answer those questions live. So to be respectful of everyone's time, questions that are of a different topic or questions we just don't have the answers for yet, they'll be answered in our follow-up email after the event. And we're also going to include information about our upcoming webinars in those emails. So let's start off with an introduction of our panelists, and then we'll go into your questions after that. So would each of you begin by doing a short introduction of yourself and your role here at DU? And can we start with you, Shana?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I'm Shana Alston. I serve as the Executive Director of Housing and Residential Education. I've been with the department in the university for the past 6 weeks, and I'm excited to speak with you this evening. I'll turn it over to Christian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christian Duty, and right now I serve as the Interim Associate Director for Housing and Residential Education, and I've been with DU for 2 years now. And we'll pass it to Ira.
Thank you, Christian. My name is Ira. I'm the Resident District Manager with Denver Dining by Sodexo. I've been at the university for 10 years and have been very much involved in the planning and opening of the brand new Community Commons and the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market. And we're also very excited in a few minutes talking about all the changes in our retail program coming this fall. So looking forward to it. Back to you, Sharon.
I believe Tiffany, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hello. So sorry. I am Tiffany Cronick. I'm the marketing coordinator with Sodexo. I'm responsible for our website, social media. I'm a lot of people's first point of contact with the dining here at the university. So I'm here today to answer any questions.
Perfect.
So we'll go ahead and get started. Today, Christian and I are going to go over some basic information about the 2021-2022 academic year as it regards to housing and living on campus. So just to give you a little overview of who we are and what we do, in housing and residential education, we support your student in multiple ways, and we hope that they will have a seamless residential experience when they join our residential community. So our team manages everything from your students' occupancy, which means their placement or their assignments where they will live on campus. We create the application process so we can gather that information from your student. And we also facilitate putting the meal plans on your student's account as well. And I will talk more about the experience, the dining experience, but we actually help by administering the meal plans. As far as residential education, we also want your student not only to come and live here, but actually to engage and to connect with their fellow students, to learn more about what it is to be a DU student and all that our campus in Denver has to offer them. And so we do that through hosting a variety of educational programs and socials. And those are typically led not only by our resident assistants, but by our professional staff. You will be excited to know that we have master level resident directors who will be living in each of our residence halls. They also are supported by graduate resident directors, and they are really, I would call, the architects of the residential experience. And what I appreciate is that they supervise and support the resident assistants who are the peer-to-peer support for your student. We also have front desk operations. So when your student gets a package, maybe a care package from you or something that they ordered, they can go down to our front desk if they maybe need a vacuum, or if they're locked out of their space. We have a front desk that are available to them. And most of our buildings, they'll be available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we have a few of our buildings that they're open 24/7. Just to give you a little overview of the first year residential experience, we are returning to a traditional first year experience this year. And the buildings that Christian will share a little bit more detail about, but students will be assigned to Centennial Halls, Damone Family Residential Village, and then Johnson and McFarland Hall. We have most of our inventory for our first year students are double rooms. So they will be living in a room with a roommate. And we have community style living. So that means there are suite style. Some of our buildings are suite style where there's 2 rooms that are connected. But each of the students have a roommate and they have their own individual space. As I said, we'll do programming and socials with your students to get them to connected, not only to our 4-dimensional experience, but also to one another, to the campus, and our local Denver community. And then lastly, we do have a live-on requirement for the first 2 years for all of our students who join us here at the University of Denver, and that also includes their meal plan experience as well.
So we wanted to quickly touch base on each of the first year residence halls that your students will be living in this upcoming year. So this first one is Centennial Halls, and that is located on the north side of our campus. You can see this map here on the right side of the screen. It is really close to our DU light rail station. So if your student wants to travel and commute, it's an easy walk right to the light rail station. They do get a pass as a student, so they can ride the light rail. It's right next to the Ritchie Athletic Center, so that's where all our sporting events are occurring. If you look on that map, it's where you look at number 45 or 74. That's the Ritchie Center. And it's also close to Sturm Hall, which is just south of this map picture, but that's where a lot of the Common Core curriculum classes are. You'll find social science and language courses that are offered there. And then it is just a short walk to our brand new community commons, which is a wonderful space that holds the Rebecca Chop Community Market, which is our centralized dining, and many of our student activity offices and event spaces for students to be in. This is our largest first year residence hall because it is a 2-tower high rise. We can fit around 650 students in this building, and it has a pretty nice parking lot that is located right directly next to it. So if you just look above the 11 on that map, that's that large parking lot, and it is both covered and uncovered, dependent on the pass that you pick for there. We have some pictures of what the rooms look like inside of halls. It's all brick architecture on the walls. You get nice ample closet spaces, and there's plenty of room for the furniture that goes in there and anything that you plan. The next is our newest building, the Damon Family Residential Village, which we just opened this past fall. It's a great new addition for us. It's a lovely brand new building. If you look at the right at the map, it's the one on the top left corner next to the 20. And this is pretty centrally located on campus, almost near the heart of campus. It's very close to our community commons, which is at number 14 on the map. Again, that's going to be where our centralized dining and student activity spaces are. Sturm Hall, which is directly across from it, that number 66, those Common Core classes again. And then very close to the Anderson Academic Commons, which is our university library on campus. So it is very centrally located. This is also where our housing and residential education main office is located. And it is also the location for our living learning community offices, as well as a large programming and event space and courtyard. We have some photos of the interior of this building as well. So another nice layout, ample closet spaces. Here we have all the furniture set up and posed for you all. So it's a nice new building that residents live in. This building also, since it is brand new, is fully air conditioned. Then last is Johnson McFarland Hall. So this is on the south side of our campus, so the bottom left corner of that map, that number 40. This is going to be closest to all of our STEM classes and music classes. It's going to be one of our smallest residence halls, so it kind of gives a more cozy feeling. It's where our Pioneer Leadership program is currently located, and then recently renovated floor lounges. This tends to be the most popular residence hall because a lot of students whose families attended BU stayed at JMAC, as it's termed, and so it's dubbed a legacy hall. And then we have this quote unquote JMAC Beach, which is this large green space in front of JMAC in between Nelson that students really like to utilize, lounge. We have hammock spaces out there. So it's a great space just to relax and disconnect. And we have some photos of JMAC, which also has architecture up on the walls, carpeted flooring, and they actually have these wonderful large windows that look out to the campus and the surrounding neighborhoods. So we also want to just touch base to let you know about our living learning communities and themed communities and where they're housed in each of our first year residence halls. So you can see halls has the most of our living learning and themed communities. And again, that's because it's our largest residence hall. It houses wellness, international, innovation, social justice, One Gen U, volunteers in partnership, the Denver Promise Scholar, and eSTEM. And then DFRV, or the Damon Family Residential Village, has our environmental honors and excelling leadership institute. And then JMAC has the Pioneer Leadership Program, social justice, and a brand new LLC called Jedi Ethics, which focuses around engineering students who are focusing on kind of more ethical background and learning. We do have an RA for each of these communities. And if you would like to learn more about the living learning communities, you can visit us at that website, du.edu, living and learning.
Thank you, Christian. Just to go over, as I said briefly earlier, that we have a two-year live-on requirement. That means if your student chooses to come to DU and is registered for classes, if they're in their first and second year, they must live on campus. If you believe that you should not be living on campus, we do have a contract release process that the students would apply for prior to coming to campus. We would ask that you do that now if you had not done that already. And we'll be following up with students who have not taken any action on housing. We don't want you to assume if you read the contract or go on our website that you are already exempt. We ask that you apply through that process, and we will determine if you will be released from the housing contract. And so there's information there. I will go into detail, but these are the meal plans that are available to students, and they come along with meal plan cash. Lastly, commuter students also have options in different types of plans that they can select from as well, that are a little smaller than the ones we have for our residential student population. Room assignments. I saw there's some questions in the Q&A about this. So room assignments will go out on July 27th. You may start to see, we'll be doing some, I do believe bills are not coming out until August 22nd. So you will have that information ahead of time. In that notification, we will share with you your building placement and your room number. We also will give more information about how you can select a move-in slot for September 6th. So I know there was a question about maybe if someone wanted to have an earlier move-in time slot. And if that's something that you need, you can always contact us at housing@du.edu, and we can work to adjust that after you've seen your move-in time slot if you feel like it's not early enough. And then one thing that we want to share, we believe that communication has already gone out from the university, but roommate pairings, even though students may have already identified students that they wanted to live with, will be based off of vaccination status. So the students will have to have the same vaccination status to be in the same bedroom together. Christian, am I doing this one? All right, so move-in day is going to be a busy day. We're going to be bringing over 1,500 students in from between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And that is going to be on September the 6th. As I said, there'll be time slots that you'll be assigned to so we can manage the flow of individuals coming to campus. And if there's questions about your time slot or something that you can't make, then you, as I said, you can contact our office and we'll work with you. We'll have a host of opportunities for you to get to know your RA, for you to connect and network with those on your floor, and to have some time with your roommate. There will be an opportunity for all students to complete their room inventory online, and this is very important. We ask that students document what their room looks like when they come into this space by taking pictures, and to update the inventory. And that will, at the end of the year, will come really in handy if there are any charges or damages that are done to this space, that we can identify the condition prior. We will work with your student to do to complete a roommate agreement. And lastly, there'll be a lot of amazing discoveries orientation events that are going on. It'll be a great time on campus that week. And I think we're going to turn it over to Ira and Tiffany.
Okay, well, thank you. Tiffany there to help answer any of your questions. So if you are in the Q&A and you have a dining question, you could set it in there and she may be answering while I'm talking. I do appreciate this opportunity. In a very few seconds, we're going to show you a video about what your students will expect when they arrive to University of Denver about dining. We are very excited about the opening of the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market. It is our single central dining facility where your students' block meal plan will be accepted. And the exciting part of the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market is the increased variety, the customization, the healthier options, and we have an allergen-free section and a vegan vegetarian concept, all in on this second floor of the new community commons. However, we do know food is personal. And if your student has any concerns or issues while they're here, it's very important that they know someone here with Denver Dining wants to support them. We have a full-time registered dietitian, Gina Vega, and your student can schedule an appointment with her online. And we also have our general manager, Tracy Williams, who will meet with any student to talk about their concerns and work with them to make sure that we're exceeding their expectations. For more detailed information, I always encourage you to go to our website, dudining.edu, and you could find very specific information about our program and ways to contact us if you have questions, hours of operation, and everything there is to know about Denver dining. And after this video that I'm going to ask Sharon to put up, I'll be available to answer any of your questions, either live or in the chat. So Sharon, hit it. Oh, here's a good one. Can I explain the meal plan in more detail? Sharon, do you mind if I answer that?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
And I'm trying to make this, okay. So the meal plan, there's block meals, and you could get 175, 150, or 125 per quarter. And every meal you take to the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market will give you an entree, 3 sides, and a beverage from one of the 8 different concepts. And we did a detailed analytical analysis over the past 3 years about how many meals students were using each week. And each one of our block meal plans are more than the average of that particular meal plan before we went to this a la carte versus an all-you-could-eat environment. And the purpose of that was we wanted to be sure if your student wanted an extra meal or go back for a second meal or couldn't make it back for another meal and wanted to take one with them, that they can use their block meals in the Rebecca Chop Grand Central Market. And every meal plan comes with $300 in meal plan cash. That's dollar for dollar. In this past fall, in this past spring, we opened a full service Starbucks. We opened Rollin' and Bowlin'. Coming this fall, we're having a new Asian concept in the Front Porch Cafe. And we also have an Einstein's and a second location in the engineering school for Rollin' and Bowlin'. But the most exciting renovations we're doing are in the Centennial and Nelson Hall, where we're under renovation for 2 new 24/7 touchless markets, where your student can access these markets via their app, the University Byte app for the University of Denver, and they could access these markets integrated into their meal plan cash, flex, or credit card accounts, and they could use 24/7. There's going to be grab and go cold food, grab and go hot food. There's going to be fresh produce. There's packaged meals. healthy snacks, allergen-free snacks, and of course, lots of other options, beverages, and anything you can think of that you would get from a typical corner store. And we're very excited about those two renovations. So if there are any other specific questions about dining hall, I'm sure our website can answer them, or you could reach out to us and we'll be glad to help with that. Thank you.
I was just looking through the Q&A, and earlier I wanted to mention that move-in day is the 6th. If your student is moving in with the largest general population on the 6th and not in an earlier program, then that is the first evening of Rosh Hashanah. And our Rabbi Yossi, who is very close to the DU campus, he will have a couple of events, and we're going to send you all information about that. So if you're interested, you'll see that in our follow-up email. And I know that that was also when you had also asked about moving in a little bit earlier. So that's when Shayna had let you know, of course, to contact housing@du.edu if you do have, if you want to make sure that your student gets, moved in a little bit earlier, because you want to make sure that you get back home before sundown. And other questions that we have, let's see, the timing on roommate assignments. Shayna, I know that you already mentioned this, but can you repeat one more time when those housing assignments go out and how?
They'll go out July 27th. It will go to your student's DU email, so they should be checking that. And yes.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I was making a note for myself there also, so thanks for that. There are a couple of programs on campus. There is an LEP program, which is Learning Effectiveness Program. They do have a move-in date that's a little bit earlier. So yes, they do move in a couple of days early, and they can, as soon as they move in, they can sleep there on campus. The question states, but do they not sleep there until the 6th? No, that's not accurate. They do go ahead and sleep there as soon as they get moved in. So just wanted to follow up with that. Shayna, did you have a follow-up on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so there are some students like you named, there's certain programs that they work with us directly. So groups of students that are being sponsored by an office or a department sometimes will come in early. However, individuals cannot request to come in earlier before their move-in date. So like we said, for that family, we can work on a time, and we also can have students move in after the day, their first official day of move-in. But I think most students want to try to come in on that first day so they can fully participate in the orientation and discovery events.
Thank you. I have another question about move-in. Will there be any move-in assistance, people to help move boxes or bags or other things in, and will there be dollies?
Yes, we're going to have a list of volunteers, both from our on-campus employees and our fraternity and sorority life students who come back to campus early to help out with move-in. We'll have dollies and move-in boxes ready for parents out in our parking lots to get everybody moved in an efficient process.
Thank you. Another question, do the dorm rooms have mini fridge or microwave?
Yes, so right now, Centennial Halls and Johnson McFarland have a full mini fridge and microwave. In the DeMond Family Residential Village, each room comes with a micro fridge, and then there is a microwave in the community lounges. So each floor has 3 lounges, so that's 3 large microwaves that they have to utilize.
Thank you. There's another question here about, can students participating in JET Welcome Weekend move in early? The JET program is Journey to Empowerment Through Transition. I believe I got that right, from the Learning Effectiveness Program that I had just mentioned a moment ago. And yes, those students do move in a couple of days early. And if your student is enrolled in that program, your student has been receiving email from them. So I would speak to your student about all of the different details. If you do need to get in touch with someone from the Learning Effectiveness Program, though, you can reach them by emailing lep@du.edu. Okay, oh, here's a good one. There is talk on the Facebook parents page about charges for damage and lost keys. The students deny problems. How can we avoid this?
Not really sure what that means, that the students deny problems. So essentially, like we said, there's the room inventory when students move in. It's imperative or very helpful for a student if they complete that when they check in. And so that's you know, doing an inventory of your space to make sure that if there's any concerns or questions that you have, that you document that on that form. It has to do with student behavior. If your students actually return their keys and maintain their spaces, and you know, and there's a little wear and tear on the room. We always account for wear and tear, but I think, you know, some of the major issues are broken furniture, you know, rips and tears in mattresses. It's students not cleaning their spaces fully, and so. The best way to avoid it is if your student is on top of cleaning and maintaining their space, and make sure that they return it to the way that they moved in when they leave. I hope that helps. It can be challenging.
Thank you very much, Shana. Okay, here's another good one. If a roommate is not a good fit, can we make a change?
Yes, we would encourage students to, if they're having concerns with their roommates, to talk to their RA, and their RA can work with them. We do strongly encourage room mediation, and students having conversations that are with care, but honest and direct with their roommates. We will have a room change process that will open up during the academic year. But we always hope that this is a learning environment here. So we hope that students would first start with a conversation with their roommate and try to address what the concerns are and see if there can be improvement. But if they're finding that they're at an impasse and the best thing is for them is to live in different spaces, we do have the room change process for our students to access.
Thank you. And how long is the move-in time slot?
That's great. So you will get a 30-minute move-in time slot. And so it is associated with the student will select it. And so they'll have like a range between an hour that we're bringing students in, and they get to pick the 30 minutes that they're coming in. Really, the 30 minutes is for you to get here. You have a time that you're arriving and unloading. I'm sorry, the sun is like beautiful, but it's hard to see me now. And the student would unload in that 30 minutes, and then they would just, the family would move their car to another parking lot. And then you have plenty of time throughout the day to unload the room and set it up.
Thank you. Is the meal plan part of the cost we receive when given the final total on our billing?
Students will see a housing charge, and they also will see a dining charge.
Thank you. Here's a question for dining. If we took the middle plan and want to increase, can we? And can they use their own credit card?
They don't have to use their own credit card. All they have to do is contact HRE. I think I'm getting the same lighting. All they have to do is use the housing@du.edu website, email them with your student ID number, tell them what meal plan you're on and what meal plan you want to switch to. And one thing that's important to know is whatever meal plan you pick in the first quarter, you're allowed to change every quarter during the prior to and during the first week of every quarter if you wanted to either move up or down in your meal plan. So yes, you still have time to change your meal plan. Housing@du.edu. Thank you.
Thanks, Ira. And how do they figure out which meal plan they signed up for?
That's a great question. I believe the student will be able to see it in the housing portal where they applied. But if there are questions, as Ira said, you can always email housing@du.edu and we can verify that for you.
Thanks, Shana. Another question for housing. Do you have a suggested list of items new students will need for their dorms?
We do have a suggested list of room assignments. When the time slots, we'll make sure that that is attached to that email so you can prepare for everything to bring and not to bring to campus.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that last part. Not to bring what?
Oh, any items not to bring to campus.
Oh, I see. Those are listed on the website too. Your audio is going out sometimes, Christian. I don't.
It's my computer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We'll make sure to answer any of those follow-up questions also if you still have some of those. Oh, here's a good one. Can you describe move-in day? Do we park in the parking lot? Do we pull up to the curb, for example?
There'll be a designated lot. So in that email, we'll let you know, we'll have the 3 buildings and the designated lot that they will park in. When you drive up, you'll get a parking pass for 30 minutes. And then what we always suggest is as you pull in, someone would stay with the car, would start unloading, the car and getting ready as the student can go up and start to check in so that they could get their keys and information that they need. We are continuing to take some innovations from last year, and we will have barcodes for students to utilize so that we can make the move-in process quicker. As Christian said before, there will be dollies available, and once the student has all of their keys and information, they can come back to the car and that process can start. And as we said, we will have volunteers as well. Christian, if you want to add anything that I'm missing.
I think you kind of covered it all, but we'll have it all prepped for you so it can be a quick turnaround because we want to make sure efficient, not to overburden the parking lots that are directly next to the buildings. So that's why we have that 30-minute time slot for you all, and then we'll have you move off to satellite lot so you can spend more time unpacking and putting up the room. But that 30-minute time slot is for you to unpack, get everything in the room, and then move your car over to the satellite lot.
Thank you both. We've had a couple of questions come in about air conditioning. Does each residence hall have air conditioning? And if not, which ones do and which ones do not?
So each of our 3 first-year residence halls has AC in the common areas, in the lounges and lobbies, but the DeMond Family Residential Village is the only one that has them in the
It's the only one that, DeMond is the only one that has it in the rooms.
Thank you. There's another question. Do transfer students move in the same day on Monday and do the same new student orientation?
Yes, to both questions. Yes.
Thank you. And there's a question, when does Discovery's orientation begin? Is it 9/7? And yes, that is correct. Students are, the general move-in is on the 6th, even though some programs will be there a little bit earlier and start a separate program. Move-in is on the 6th, but we do have programming that will begin for students that evening. So if you have something that you wanted to do with them, if you wanted to take them to dinner or take them out to Target, Bed Bath & Beyond or something like that, we just want you to be aware that we may, we're going to be advertising some activities for them, and we want them to get connected with their community right away. So that very first evening, if there's something fun they want to do, we just want to make sure that, you're ready, just in case they say, hey, I want to go do this thing instead. Can I go do this? please let them do it. I know it might be a little painful if they happen to say to you, oh no, I know we were going to go to dinner, but I just made a friend. And, you know, while that might be hard, you know, try to let them do it. That's what we want them to do, get connected, make friends right away. So yeah, the official program does begin on September 7, but we are going to have something fun for them the evening of the 6th and on all the other evenings as well. Let's see, I'm just taking a look through some of these that kind of apply to our topic. I understand in the past that Pioneer Leadership Program moved in a day or two earlier than the rest of the students. Is that still true this year?
We're still collecting information about the early arrival program, so I can't confirm. I saw there's a lot of questions about individual student populations. So if you are working with a special group or if your student has been accepted into a living learning community, it would be best to probably connect with them. For example, international students, it asks if they can move in early. And I think, yes, there's an early international student orientation. And those students are being shared with us. And so if your student hasn't received any information, then they should definitely follow up with our international student services. But it definitely depends, and we are still collecting information from different programs who are interested in having students move in early. So I don't want to answer about a specific community because I don't have that information all together in front of me right now.
Thank you. One question says, can first-year students live in the new dorm?
Yes, it's a first-year residence hall.
Okay, here's a good one. What are the average number of days parents stay to get the students set up? A few days before the 6th and after? And no, that is not correct. The day that parents are coming to campus is on Monday the 6th. So you can be there, help them move in and get settled in, take them to the store and pick up extra things that they needed for their room. But we don't have an official orientation program for parents on campus. We're doing these information sessions and sending out a lot of information over the summertime to give parents and families everything that you need to know. But as far as programming on campus, it is, you know, move in on the 6th, and then we don't have a parent program, and the students are to go off, you know, pretty much right away on their own and start their orientation program. Okay, next question. There's another question about someone has a student in the LEP program but won't be able to move in early, and is this okay? And I would definitely get in touch with the LEP program to ask that question. And if you know, as Shana was saying before, if your student has been accepted to one of those programs that we have for certain populations of students, to get some really specific information, your student should get in contact with the lead for that particular program. That's the way that they should be getting all of their information about when they move in, what the location of their residence will be, anything else that they need to know specific to the program, like the schedule for that program, would come from the program lead. And your student should have that information already. And it's through their DU email that they're receiving the info. So if they are not getting info, that might be because they're not checking their DU email yet. If they need help with that, they can get in touch with our IT office and they can get connected with their DU email. It's really important that you encourage your student to stay current with their DU email, and you know, to keep the information flowing to them and to you so that you also know what's going on.
And I would say Sharon, as far as housing is concerned, as of the 6th, we are going to be prepared for your student to show up. We strongly encourage folks to use a move-in appointment that will help us manage the flow of students coming to campus. And as Christian said, to be mindful of the impact of parking to our not only our campus, but also the local residents who live very close to our campus. But if your student needed to come in on the 7th because they have a commitment or something, we will be ready. They can go to their front desk and we will be sure to check them in once they arrive.
Yes, thank you. There's a question, is it too late to apply to the Jedi LLC? And if not too late, could that mess with the roommate situation at this late stage? My son chose JMAC, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'm not sure, Shana, do you have an answer for that?
We haven't made assignments yet. I would say if the student can go in and apply for that community this week, that would be preferred, to give that administrator the opportunity to know that they're interested, and so we can manage that ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
They would welcome that student applying in that community. It's new and they're excited, so.
Yes. And how many people can help the student move into the residence halls?
We recommend 2. So we want to be mindful just of the amount of folks that we have on campus. And so I just want people to imagine you're in a residence hall room. If each student brings 2 guests with them and all their things, how quickly that will fill up that space. But you know, I do recognize that there are families who want to come and send their student off, but we encourage people to try to keep it to 2 guests.
And how long does it usually take to move in?
Well, we hope it takes you only 30 minutes to move in. How long does it take you to set up your space? That depends on the person. I can't say. I would assume that most people could set up their room in probably under an hour or 2.
Yeah, thank you. Here's a good one. Can we pre-send boxes to the rooms? When can students receive mail and packages?
We do not accept packages prior to opening because we will not have our front desk operations and accepting packages. So any packages get returned to sender. So if you are sending packages ahead of time, we recommend sending them to a shipper here in Denver, or if you're staying at a hotel, you can coordinate with the hotel and hold on to them and then bring them on to campus. But during move-in week, all our staff are focused on getting your students checked in and moved up into their rooms. So our desk operations won't be fully operational, most likely until the following week of move-in.
Thank you. I understand that there is no AC in Centennial Halls. Do you have a recommendation for cooling that works well?
Yeah, so they have some pretty large windows up in Centennial Halls as well. So students tend to bring a fan that they can put up against the window to bring in the air from the outside. Since it is a high rise, it tends to get a nice breeze that goes through the room. So on a typical day in September, it doesn't tend to get extremely hot in that area, but a nice fan should do the work for you throughout the year.
I've also heard the students leave their doors open because it's air cooling in the hallways to get a nice breeze coming into the room as well.
It doesn't stay that warm too much longer after move-in. It's actually not so bad if they, keep the ventilation going in there. So I've heard, and now I haven't lived in one of those. So, but a lot of the students say, oh, it's okay. Keep the window open while you're there, and it's pretty nice. After a couple of weeks, the heat really, starts to subside. Let's see, another one. Can a personal microwave be brought for students to use in their room?
So within DFRV, we actually have.
Christian, you went out.
Oh, I cut out. So we do allow students to bring a microwave, especially if you're coming to DFRV. We would probably recommend bringing your own.
He said he would, if you're in DFRV, he would recommend you bringing your own.
And are there small appliances allowed in rooms such as a hot pot or rice cooker?
So we'll be sending out a list of all of the appliances that are allowed in the residential rooms, so you can know every type of appliance that you can and cannot bring into the space. It's all dependent on if there are kitchens in the rooms, which it mainly refers to our upper class students, but for our first year students, they're pretty limited since there are not kitchens located in the rooms.
Thank you. Here's another good one. Do the beds have the ability to be elevated? Is it built into the bed, or do you need to bring something to elevate them if you'd like to set it up that way?
So the beds can be adjusted. It's already built into the beds themselves. So you can adjust the bed height with the mechanics of the beds that we have, but you are not allowed to bring any types of risers that would raise the bed any higher.
And
we also have on the website what you can bring. Sorry, Sharon. So I did post it in the link. Oh, you may not be able to see it. Should I put, I don't know if we could put it in the chat or the question and answer, but if folks go to our housing and residential education page and type in what to bring, the link will come up.
thank you. We can
Oh, and
also,
thank you, Beth, for sharing.
yeah, we can put that in the follow-up email as well, the what to bring page link. When and where do you pick up your DU ID?
So in the past, your DU ID is with you when you check in for your Discoveries orientation.
I'm sorry, I'm just filtering through a couple of the questions that we've already answered. Oh, here's a good one too. Is there storage available during the summer or other breaks for students?
There's not on-campus storage, but there are plenty of storage companies throughout the Denver area, and they tend to provide flyers to us as we come to the end of the year so that we can advertise them to your students to set up a system with them.
Thank you. And what furniture is supplied in the rooms?
So I hope everybody's okay with this answer, but if you go to our website and there you can see the list of our buildings, it will describe all that we have available in all the spaces and the amenities in those buildings. So I think that'd be a great place to start. I can also, put the links to the 3 buildings that we have, but that would be easier. You will get a bed, there's a desk, you will have access to a closet, and as Christian said, there's typically a micro fridge and a microwave in all those spaces. Christian, did I miss anything in general? Okay, thank you.
And are all of the beds the extra long twin?
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
Okay.
That is very helpful, Sharon, with buying sheets.
Yes. Yeah, don't think that a twin is going to look exactly the same. It needs to be the extra long twin. And how about laundry facilities? Where are the facilities and how do you pay for doing laundry?
So all of the residence halls have a laundry room in their main floor. They are both coin operated, and then you can also download an app on your phone, which will allow you to use the app to pay for the washer and dryer and set them up.
Thank you. Do students need to bring their own cleaning supplies, such as a vacuum or surface cleaning products?
I would encourage surface cleaning products. Christian will tell me if I'm wrong, but they can go to the front desk to get access to a vacuum. So you don't have to bring one if you choose that, you can. And I do think there was one question about cleaning. We clean all of the common areas and the common bathrooms, but not your student's actual bedroom. They would have to clean that themselves. And back to that amazing parent who asked the question of how can they avoid charges? As I said before, maintaining, cleaning their space would definitely help in that process.
Thank you. And that light is beautiful, Shayna. Oh my gosh, it's streaming in the room and it's kind of a pink. It's beautiful. All right.
It's making me look like I don't know, an angel or something.
Little angelic. Yeah, you've got something going there. Okay, what is the process for moving in? So, what happens after they pull up to the curb that you described earlier? And then do they go get in line right away after they get their items out of the car and then the car goes to parking? Does the student then go get in line and get their meal card and keys at that time?
So we'll have everything pulled together at the entry of the building. So once they pull off, get their packet, which will have their keys, all their materials for them for the day. So we'll have that all collected at their centralized move-in locations at each building.
And like we said, as soon as they pull into their assigned lot, we would have that student go right to their building. All the lots are very close to the building to go check in and to get their packet as Christian shared, and then they will come back to the car, to the family, and then you can work together to take the items into the building.
And there's a specific question about what the parking options are on campus. So for a couple of things with that, there is a parking map at du.edu/maps. And then for parking on campus during move-in, Shayna had described that process earlier with going to the parking lot. But if your student is bringing a car, for example, they'll need to get a parking pass, and they can do that on the Parking and Mobility website. We'll send this out on the follow-up email also, but that website is du.edu/parking. And that'll really give you all of the information that you want to know about parking on or around campus and more. Will students find out who their roommate is on their email on the 27th of July?
I will promise all of you that I will either make sure that it's in that email or that they can access that information on the housing portal. And so by the 27th, they will be able to identify and easily see who their roommate is. And we'll make sure that information is included in that letter that goes out.
Thank you. And let's see. Trying to find another question here. Is there a place that students can ship boxes to if they are traveling by plane? Sometimes, there are UPS stores close by. There is a Pack Mail store that's pretty close by. It's right next to campus. If it's on University and Harvard, that's where the Pack Mail store is. Make sure that if you're choosing a location to ship to, that you know exactly which location and how close it is to campus, because there's a possibility that your student might be walking over there a day or two after they move in to go get that box anyway, because some of the package receiving, even the UPS stores or that Pack Mail, they may not be open because the 6th of September is Labor Day. So if you are going to mail something that your student is going to pick up later, you'll want to talk to someone and make sure that they are open on Labor Day and what the hours are so that it's something convenient for you. So if you have your car, then you can help your student go get that package on that day, or make it a location that's very close by in walking distance. So if your student does need to walk over there the next day to go get their package, then it's not too inconvenient for them. It looks like the beds in JMAC are elevated and you can place the dresser underneath. Is that true?
Yes, all of the beds can adjust to that height, and the dressers can go right underneath them.
Okay, and to be clear, we cannot or should not bring any hardware to do that bed elevation ourselves. Okay, that's
No, we don't want them to compromise the integrity of the bed. That is probably one of the quickest ways to, if it's fractured or, you know, these beds may not seem expensive. They are very expensive, and we don't want you to incur that cost. And we also want your student to be safe. So we ask that you do not bring anything that would, you know, change the integrity of the bed.
Thank you. And what should we be using for a bicycle lock? And is there storage for a bicycle during the cold months? Is there somewhere on campus where they can take it inside? Is that in their room or somewhere else?
So Campus Safety recommends using the U-Lock for your bicycles, and there's plenty of bicycle racks throughout the campus. And then if you don't plan on using your bike over the winter break, we recommend either sending them home or putting them in a different storage space. We don't allow the bikes inside of the residence halls.
So they would need to rent storage space at a different location, is that right?
If they don't want to leave it locked up outside.
Okay, thank you.
And I would also encourage all students will have to register their bikes. We do have a registration process, and that is to help in the case of if your bike goes missing or something happens while it's on campus, that our campus safety can easily identify you and make sure that the student is aware. And as Christian said, they not just only recommend a U-lock, you need to use a U-lock. Other types of locks will be removed from the bike and the racks.
So we still have quite a few questions in the Q&A. They seem to be repeating quite a bit right now as I'm starting to scroll through them, but there are a couple that we'd like to address on our follow-up email. Some of them, you know, these are all important questions. They're very, very good, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time tonight and end now so that we can let you get on with your evening. We will send the recording of this session to everyone by email. So you will have a copy of that, and along with the websites that we've been mentioning and the email addresses that we've been mentioning tonight. That will come out to you within just a couple of days once it's edited. And I want to thank all of the panelists for being with us tonight on this Q&A. And thank you for all of the attendees and the thoughtful questions that you've been asking. These are really good. We'll follow up with you by email, like I said, and please remember to join us for our next event, which will be an Incoming Families Meet and Greet on Wednesday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You'll have an opportunity to talk with staff from new student and family programs, as well as parent and family giving, and you'll get to chat with each other on screen and meet other parents from regions close to where you live. So that'll be fun for you. You'll see more information about that event, this recording, and our upcoming webinars all in our next email. And again, thank you everybody, and have a really great evening.